It looks cloudy today. At the same time, it could actually be smoke, as apparently the wildfires are going out of control around the area actually. With that in mind, what did I read today? How about this first one, where apparently here in Canada, specifically in Alberta, there was a quote drone company that was convicted of things like tax evasion. This one says, enforcement notification. Drone flight operations company grounded following COVID-19 subsidy fraud and tax evasion. The Canada Revenue Agency has announced that Leslie Sand of Brooks, Alberta was sentenced on June 10, 2025 in the Medicine Hat Law Courts to 3.5 years in jail and was fined a total of $798,709.02. Sand pleaded guilty to fraud and tax evasion. That's a lot of money. So what happened? It says a CRA investigation revealed that Sand was a sole shareholder of Flyte Deck Corporation, reported to the CRA as a drone flight operations and 3D printing business. Sand, the sole signing authority on the company's bank accounts, fraudulently applied for subsidies even though Flyte Deck Corporation never engaged in any legitimate business and never had any business income. Imagine that. It says between April 2020 to August 2022, Sand applied for subsidies through the Canada Emergency Wage Subsidy, the Canada Emergency Rent Subsidy, the Hardest Hit Business Recovery Program, the Tourism and Hospitality Recovery Program, and the Canada Recovery Hiring Program. As part of the applications, Sand created and submitted false business records, false commercial lease agreements, false payroll records, false bank documents, and false lists of employees. Sand then personally appropriated $603,376.44 from Flyte Deck Corporation, creating taxable income that he failed to report. Wow, this guy really went all in terms of this scandal per se. Hey, I know in a lot of places the drone laws, they're over the top and it's a burden to even fly your drone, I guess, to do commercial operations, but I don't think this is the way to make money out of it. The guy's professional profile seems kind of weird too, because I believe this is the same person. Leslie Sand, it says Flyte Deck Corp. It says trained and skilled directional drilling supervisor looking for new and interesting opportunities in Redcliffe, Alberta, Canada. That's a big difference between, I guess, that and flying drones as well. I don't see how people think they can get away with stuff like that, especially with something that big. Although in terms of criminals, how about this one, where people were arrested for using drones to drop items in a prison? And the interesting thing again in these stories is, what were they using and all that? It says 3 arrested in latest drone drop attempt at Washington State Prison. According to the Washington County Sheriff's Office, deputies were notified about drone activity near the prison on Wednesday and eventually pinpointed the location of multiple drones. After finding the drones, deputies and canine units followed a path to a clearing where they found 3 people flying them. WCSO said 1 drone was still in the air when deputies apprehended the suspects. 51-year-old Jonathan James, 37-year-old William White, and Stone Mountain and 32-year-old Dylan Scrutchins of Ackworth were all taken into custody and charged with 6 counts of trading with inmates, 2 counts of illegal use of unmanned aircraft, multiple drug possession charges, and more. And you can see all the drones and so forth. I thought it was kind of interesting at first, wondering, why is the screen on? Usually when they show this stuff, is it just showing off like the general hardware? Although they do say when they apprehended the person, he was actually flying the drone, at least one of them. So maybe this was taken right at that time. They didn't even turn it off. And I guess that's good evidence in the remote and all that, where you can see the flight path and so forth. And today, apparently the internet was down in so many places, all because of Google Cloud services. This interrupted so many things, for example, even services like Spotify. Now, this one here says Google Cloud is down. Latest on Google outage impacting 50 plus services. So you can imagine how many different companies rely on Google services. As mentioned, Spotify, there's other big platforms like Discord. And with that recent news of OpenAI, I guess, partnering with Google, can you imagine the whole internet literally just going down because everyone's too reliant on like one company, for example? Because that seems to be a thing too in recent times, where when one network goes down, whatever it may be, then so many different services, they just shut off. That's the negative of, I guess, a quote, full digital life in that regards. And in terms of the wildfires here, actually, people are saying it may be man-made, so someone's intentionally setting it on fire. And it says here, Squamish RCMP seeks information on cause of wildfire. Mounties say on June 9th at about 5:30 p.m., Squamish RCMP and Squamish Fire Rescue were notified of smoke on the hillside at the end of Tantalus Road. And ultimately, they say, based On initial information, investigators suspect the fire was human-caused. However, the exact source and circumstance are unknown at this time. I wouldn't doubt that personally, as a lot of times this stuff comes up just like that for whatever reason, and it expands in weird patterns. All right, see you guys later.